Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Connecting Highline and our region.
History, cultural heritage, art, performances, contemporary pop culture.
We collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people.
We want to embrace our differences and similarities.
We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Hi everyone, this is Nancy from the Highline Heritage Museum and welcome back. Today we have a couple that they're going to be sharing with us who are they in their voices in here in the community. Why are we doing this project? As I shared in the past, why not? Why not to get to know neighbors or friends or co-workers, who's all the organizations around us, and also who is in the community. And so they have a very special story. All of us have special stories, but they do have a very special story specifically that is connected to the museum and to the community. And so I'm just happy, and I just want to say thank you to the two of you for the opportunity to tell your story. And
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Like I promised. Who are you?
My name is Bill Holst. I am the current president of Hovhaness-Fujihara Music Company. And this is my wife.
Colleen Holst, and I am the wife of Bill Holst.
A little background about me is I grew up in the Burien White Center area. The house that I grew up in is located between Evergreen High School and Salmon Creek Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very close there, and also went to Cascade Junior High. For the last 38 years, I've been a Avionics Systems Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I originally started with Boeing Aerospace, and then at about mid 1990s, I started contracting, and so me and my family traveled throughout the United States with different airline companies, such as Rockwell Collins, Lockheed, Honeywell, and just recently, last year, retired from that to take over my mother's business. And Colleen and I have 4 children.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And, 8 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness, you do have a big family.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I got my own 18-year-old daughter, and I respect anyone that has more than one child. Like my respect and admiration for that. And so you've been in the community for your whole life, basically. You've been connected in many different ways.
Right. So, yeah, like I say, about 1995, we went off and kind of toured the U.S. contracting. So I stayed here for first 35 years of my life and just recently came back. So things are a little different than when I left, but we're getting back in and kind of looking at the area and comparing to what it used to be like. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. What about
And
you?
I also grew up in West Seattle, and I went to Chief Sealth, and I also went to West Seattle High School and Lafayette Grade School and Madison Junior High School. And I met Bill at Longacres Racetrack. We both worked at the racetrack. And that's when I met Alan Hovhaness, his stepfather, and his mom. And the first time actually I really met him was on the phone calling Bill up and asking him to go do something with him and from Longacres. And Alan answered the phone and he said, is this Tony? And I go, Tony, who's that? I didn't know he had another girlfriend at the time. But I think he knew that he said the wrong name and he was a little embarrassed.
Oh, no.
So that was the first time, I kind of met Alan. And then the second time we were driving by the house to go to the house and meet him. And they were coming out and they rolled down the window and said, we're leaving right now. Good luck. And we're going, why are they saying good luck? We were going to the house. We just thought it was kind of odd word to say, and they just left.
Yeah.
And then, so they wrote our wedding song and we got married at Highline Methodist Church down the road in Burien.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then the first premiere concert that we went to was Alan's Mount St. Helens Symphony in San Jose, California. And that was our honeymoon. And we went down there with them to see the premiere.
Wow.
And we drove to Carmel, California right after that. And I guess, what was the actor's name? Clint Eastwood was the governor of that state at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, so that's what I understood anyway. And then we we couldn't do anything without each other. And so we got up, we ate in this restaurant. We both got up at the same time and said we had to go to the bathroom and go, you guys never do anything without each other, do you? Then, they were laughing and kind of giggling about it. Thought it was kind of cute that we had to go everywhere with each other, even to the bathroom. So, so anyway, and I had 9 sisters and brothers that grew up in Seattle, and my dad worked at Boeing too, and we owned racehorses at Long Acres Racetrack, and that's how we met at the racetrack.
Well, this is wonderful. Now that you mention Alan Hovhaness, not everyone knows who he is. And so kind of have a quick introduction as to who he is. And then I think I would like to, instead of me saying, why do we have the exhibit in the museum? I think it would be kind of great that you say, okay, who is he, just briefly?
Right. So Alan is one of the most prolific classical composers in the 20th century. So he has over 500 compositions, and of those, 67 are symphonies. He actually grew up in Arlington, Massachusetts, and in 1942 he earned a scholarship to Tanglewood in the Boston area, and in that group of individuals in the music department, there was Leonard Bernstein and Aaron Copland, and actually those two criticized him considerably, and which led him to leave Tanglewood. And at that point, he had over 1,000 compositions that he burned because of that particular incident.
Wow.
And shortly after that, he had a friend who was a Greek psychic who convinced him to go back to his Armenian roots and study the culture, and then embed that musical culture into his music. So there was a period there where in his compositions is Armenian culture type music in there. He in the late 50s, early 60s, he went off to study in India and Japan and Korea. And again, he did the ancient music techniques. So it wasn't, like the tourist area. He went to, meet the very ancient methods of doing music. And again, he combined those and put that into his music. From then on, he became somewhat more played. Maybe not as popular as some of the other composers, but he does have, quite a few people who follow him. Basically, his, in the 40s and 50s, his music was not fashionable. It was based off beauty and healing. And so, like I said, he was criticized. A lot of different orchestras didn't play his music just because, they tend to do more popular things that bring crowds in. So it wasn't played a lot, but, I see, music, classical music is kind of cyclic. And so those tendencies, those fads are kind of going away, and Alan's music is coming back into popularity.
It's good to know that now all the time how it changes, and then also with the music and how people receive the different sounds. I know that he has because he's local, he's also worked closely with the Seattle Orchestra too. And I know that when he turned his birthday anniversary, it was 100 years anniversary. It was a big event that took place in Seattle too for that. I actually spent quite a time many years ago. I'm looking at probably like 15 years ago. So it's been a while. But like 15 years ago, I actually dived into looking at his personal history and I really dived into understanding more about who he is. And so I'm so glad and happy that you're here to actually share his story. If anyone has wants to learn more about it, just come to us, or you can maybe research it online. But there's also an exhibit about him on place. It's not going to stay for too long, so you better hurry up to see it. But now coming back to you guiding the conversation, and so what's next? What makes you you two? I mean, what else is the all the elements that would you like to address? I know that you also have some materials that I don't know if you want to present them too.
Right. So throughout my mother, she actually met Alan at a piano recital in 1973, and they were married in 1977, and he passed in 2000. So throughout that time, my mother kept a diary of all the different events and all their adventures that they went on, and a lot of people know Alan for his music, but they don't really know personal side of him. And so my mother documented in draft form, all the different events, and she was planning on publishing a book before she passed. However, she got sick in about 2018 and was never able to publish it. So after her passing in December of 2022, me and my wife figured that was kind of the most critical item, because that was her final goal.
Yeah.
So we took all of her draft writings and we collated them, and put all the wrappers around it to create this book here. And Alan Hovhaness, unveiling one of the great composers of the 20th century.
May I?
And then it has writing on it.
That's what I was going to say, making sure. I noticed this. So there is, you can read some of the music here too. Like that, which is so creative and original.
Actually, there's a gift box too that we have that is for the book. We have two different ones. One leather, one full leather book.
Well, it's heavy, so it's a very hardcover.
Yeah.
I'd point out here also, there's a picture of Alan's cat from the 1940s. So Alan, maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, but he was believed in reincarnation. And
wow!
His cat was with him in Egyptian times, and so he's very much gets along with cats, and cats seem to be
are his favorite.
Yeah.
But that one was his favorite. Raja, Hayden, he called him.
Yeah.
So if it's from the 1940s, I'm assuming that's not the same time frame period, but there's I think it was one of the New York publications, and it has amazing black and white photos.
Yeah.
He's with the piano and the music, but the cat is there. It's a black cat in
Right.
there.
Yeah.
That's from the New York Times, and that is the cat that he's talking about. He's kind of peering out from where he's composing, right?
Yeah. So no, when I saw those images are just mind-blowing, beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that you captured the cat in the book too.
Yeah, that was a very important part.
Yeah.
Just one other comment about the kind of the reviews or dedications on the back. There is one from Michael York, who is the British actor who was on
Logan's Run,
and
Austin Powers, and all these other movies.
So he actually did a reading for one of Alan's pieces, and so we were able to communicate with him, and he's a very, very nice gentleman. And,
yeah, he was on the Rubaiyat tape of Alan's music.
Yeah, that shows the different groups of people that he was able to reach. And it just shows the different, through time, through generations, through different demographics.
And also Carlos Santana wrote a piece on the Oneness album that he wrote, and using Mysterious Mountain on his music.
Got a question. Is that Mysterious Mountain based on Mount Rainier? I know that his house was in SeaTac. There was one piece that he developed, I think, and I don't know if that's accurate. That's probably what I'm asking.
Yeah, Mysterious Mountain, I think, was when he lived in the Boston, New Hampshire area,
Okay.
which is the
So it's
White
a different.
Mountains.
Okay.
But in 1980,
Mount
he
St. Helens.
Mount St. Helens, he actually has a symphony that captures the calmness of Mount St. Helens right before the eruption and then the eruption.
European happened. Yeah, I thought that was because somebody told me that because he lives in SeaTac, that he had this amazing view looking at Mount Rainier.
Oh,
And
they
that's
did.
probably one of the reasons why he selected the property because of the mountain view.
And we live in that house right now too. And so
Okay,
we
so
have the view.
so you had the
Yeah.
view. So there is a view. I have never. I was close to actually set up a meeting with your mom many years ago, but then life took place and we weren't able to do it. But I always been curious. Now you confirming it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a mountain view in the house, and that probably got inspiration in some of the elements that he was working later on.
So that was one of the reasons why he moved here to Seattle is because of Mount Rainier and then the all the mountain ranges around here. He was really inspired by mountains.
Looking at the mountains, yeah.
You know, sharp, jagged, stormy mountains.
Mhm.
And so Alan, even as a child, said that he always heard music in his head. So he always walked around with, you know, pen and paper to capture that music. And what he would tell us is
Good.
if he didn't write it down, then it would be lost forever. So he always carried a pen and paper with him.
Yeah, and so we have like napkins that every restaurant he went to or he was writing stuff down he heard in his head. And so we have napkins everywhere, piles of napkins with music on it.
Well,
So-
that's when the creativity kicks in. I mean, sometimes those elements is not planned; it's something that organically
Because he can
flourishes.
hear it.
Mhm.
And it just goes away if he doesn't.
So I always considered him, since Alan was so spiritual and mystical,
Mhm.
he appeared to me that he was in touch with another dimension,
Mm.
and that he was kind of the conduit for capturing that music. His soul was in harmony with the universe,
Mm.
and I think he also was able to interpret, you know, nature, like sound of wind, trees, and what the mountains are trying to tell us, and put it into his music. And I think that's where the beauty and the healing comes in.
There is, we have in past hosted interviews with musicians and artists, and it's beautiful to see the different ways that people express it. But I don't think I hear that mystic element to it. That element of I love his reincarnation. I love his cat. I love the element of healing with through nature and trying to work on the sounds with that. And so I think it's just beautiful. It's beautiful that to see that, and like you said, no, we can research him and we can concentrate on the pieces of the work that he did. But I don't think I have ever connected it, that term healing and mystic. So thank you for that. And so this book talks more about his life, or it's a mix of work and personal, or
It's a mix of concerts and things like that, the different activities that they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, it documents a lot of, you know, concert dates, and it gives you an insight behind the scenes of classical music.
Mm.
You know, the
A
different
little bit of
conductors,
gossip going on
a
and
little,
stuff like
little bit
that.
of
It's
gossip.
Yeah.
But it also, you know, kind of shows what Alan's personality is. And I always say that his music was the product of all of his studies and his adventures. So what, and this kind of touches on it too, is that there's so much more to Alan than just his music. You know, he was, you know, studied a little bit of Edgar Casey and Francis Bacon. And so I kind of think of him kind of as a Da Vinci Code type guy. I mean, he had so many adventures, you know, in one year. It's amazing. You know, we look through his writings, and there's so much information about different things that he had done, you know, wrapped around his studies and mystical type things. So, like I say, this kind of unfolds that. You can go out to Wikipedia, but it won't talk about any of those subjects. But we're kind of going through the archives, straightening them out, and we are finding a lot of things about Alan that we didn't know about.
He also thought he was reincarnated during Leonardo da Vinci's time too. He was in the court, a musician in the court of Leonardo da Vinci, and was a friend of his.
It is
And so
well,
he says that he knows the name. I don't remember the name right offhand, but I looked it up and there was a person named that at that time, and I was surprised. I was looking at him.
wow.
So
It is so interesting to as you researching, as you collecting, as
mhm,
you interpreting things too, and putting all the pieces of the puzzle together,
right,
and then you bring his voice alive. It is
right,
a very humbling experience is to be able to say this is a person who is no longer with us, but we're still finding new elements of who that person is, and we're still trying to bring his voice alive. And so to me, that is a very beautiful and humbling project. I mean, I'm taking it because I know it's powerful. Is in not everyone gets the opportunity that not everyone was going to write a book about us and then
right,
being able to highlight the adventures, being able to highlight the mystic elements or even these elements of reincarnation and Da
right.
Vinci Code, the Da Vinci Code, no code. And so all I'm saying is it is a really unique project, and seems like his magic, his light is still shining through. It is not just through his music, but also even through you. You putting all the pieces together. And so it is beautiful to see a couple. Okay, let's work on this, something that it belonged to your mom at the beginning, and then also carrying her wishes out. And so I see the beauty in many different angles. And so no, what you guys doing is beautiful. So thank
Yeah,
you.
he was he got his goal in life. He wanted to be a family man, and when we got married and started having kids, he became that family man. Yeah, he was invited to our fourth child's birth,
Uh-huh.
and he was very shy about coming into the room and stuff like that and seeing something like that because back in their days they weren't allowed into the room and seeing them birth. And so my other three children were all excited and stuff, and he took them out and babysat them out in the other
Oh,
room. And he said that they were hopping, he couldn't control them. They were hopping from couch to couch, and they knew something big was going to happen. And so he took out his pen and paper and he started writing a song, the baby jumping up and down. And yeah, so he wrote a song for them, but he said that Gregory was trying to kill himself because he kept jumping off the chair. And he was like 3 years old and he was falling off the chairs and stuff like that. But he could not, he said, it's not my place to be in the room when the baby's born. It was, not that era where he grew up where he didn't believe in being in the room at the time. But his mom, his mom stayed in and saw the birth. That was her first time she ever seen the birth of the children. Yeah.
wow.
The last one that we had. So
But the fact that I know what it is to be working with toddlers and with children, and it's not an easy task. And so the fact that he somehow was writing a song in the middle of all of that is
kids
that is
jumping from chair to chair.
that
Yeah.
is impressive to even somehow find the patience or the
Yeah.
creativity to kick in right when you're giving birth, right when
Yeah.
it's a big milestone in the family, and then
Right.
having kids jumping
Mhm.
and almost killing themselves
Right.
around, and then still have the capacity to have that mindset to be creative. So that's pretty special. Not everyone can actually do that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And so let's just see. So we have probably another 5 more minutes or so. And so if people wants to buy the book, where they can find it.
So currently it's on pre-order on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, thrift books. You can go to the internet and pre-order it, but I would recommend purchasing
May I? Just so I can, like,
pre-ordering from Alan Hovhaness Music.com. That's our website that you can order directly from.
Yeah.
It also includes other items in there,
And that's the leather jacket. Yeah. So that's just the jacket of it. Out of there. There we go.
it is a beautiful,
Yeah.
it's so smooth.
Yeah.
I know they might be hard to see in a video format, but this is a very beautiful formatted book and nice. So no, this is great.
Yeah.
And so I know that we concentrate a lot about him, but since this is part of your stories, is anything else you'd like to share about you in the last couple minutes? Something to wrap it up? It's just
well, can I talk about my mother who actually
yeah,
is the
absolutely.
author? So she was born in Osaka, Japan.
Hmm.
Her mother was Korean and her father was Japanese. And back in those days, though, there was wars between them, and so they um, they fell in love, but the Japanese family didn't really accept the Korean mother,
Yeah.
and so he had to kind of hide his family. So my grandmother and my mother and her sister kind of grew up in poverty in Japan, during World War II. So they would always have to scatter and find shelters during bombings and stuff. And
Yeah.
they would um, harvest sweet potatoes for food. And so they grew up um, very poor. However, my grandmother um, took them to like art museums and things like that, and got them into the different arts. Um, so fast forward, my my grandmother ended up becoming a very popular painter in New York and Seattle area. She has many awards from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we still have those paintings. We'd like to display them someplace.
Okay.
So she became very, very popular artist. My aunt, um, she became a popular or famous fashion designer in Japan and Paris. And um, should have brought that. But uh, so she ended up giving her business to her employees who worked there for many, many years. But she can also be found on the internet. She has fashion design uh,
She makes,
videos,
yeah.
things like that. And then, of course, my mother married Alan. So my mother was actually a actress in Japan. She did a couple of movies. She did advertisements for beer and things of that nature. When she came over here, she actually was in the chorus for the Seattle Opera.
Wow.
And, she was taking singing lessons when she actually went to the piano recital where she met Alan.
And then Alan took up practicing lessons with her, teaching her how to sing and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so he wrote all of her music and everything after they met to sing because her voice was very high pitched. What's it called?
Coloratura soprano.
Yeah, the highest part. Yeah, no one can hardly sing that. So,
Well, just by you describing that, extremely creative in many different formats. There's not just an artist in one field, but in many different, from music to actually creating two-dimensional items to the fashion element to the film industry. So it seems like she was a really multifaceted person with a lot of really heavily on creative.
Right. So I give credit to my grandmother, who, like I said, was a single mother in Japan, which is not heard of very often. And they lived in poverty, and she somehow knew, to take them to artistic areas to further their careers.
Well, and look at it now. I mean, it translates that not only in Japan, but here we are talking about it many years later in Seattle, in the Seattle area. We're in Burien, but in the Seattle area. The concept of generational impact and then them getting together, and then I can imagine the conversations, the creative energy that they constantly will be the two of them having. So I'm assuming, since I don't know much of the personal element, but just imagining two people with really creative energy blending together into one space. And I'm sure it was just magic and on the things that they did. So that's beautiful. Yeah. So we got.
did you give your website on your book? I
Oh,
can't remember if you
yeah,
did.
it's alanhovhanessmusic.com.
Okay, so now we're also going to be adding that into the description on our YouTube video. So if you're listening to this via radio, you can go to our YouTube channel, and you can also find all that description on the video. And so if you're driving, don't stop and write it down. No, well, you can find it later on. Well, it was a joy and a pleasure to having you here. It was kind of short, knowing how rich all of the stories are, all the way from him, Alan, to your mom, and then to the two of you, and then even to your children. And so we interpret your children, but still, it seems like the family has a lot of rich history. And a short term, but I hope that people enjoyed it. I hope that you got curious. This is another reason why we're doing this, is for you to get curious, research, dive into, and it just be more educated, more informed as to what's going on around us. So once again, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LP FM. We envision ourselves sitting at a round table where no one is the leader and stories are heard respectfully, regardless of gender, age, sexual orientation, disabilities, or ethnicity. Our mission is we collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people. We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices represents us all, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and uniting to cultivate our future. This project allows us to reach out to demographics who might be unable to visit the museum. People with disabilities, low-income families, people who don't trust museums, and more. In partnership, we are launching a locally programmed new radio station at the museum, featuring recorded and live Highline's heritage, history, culture, arts, and more. Are you interested in sharing your story? Email director@highlinemuseum.org.